I was picking up something about you finally being less strict with yourself. It's sort of giving like, if you feel compelled to laugh, you're not censoring your own laughter, stuff like that. And also it's like you no longer feel this almost compulsive need to micromanage every aspect of like, I don't know, it's almost giving, so say if you're trying to, I don't know, lose weight or something like that. Um you could have developed, or you could, this could be a lifelong thing, it could be a lifelong habit or whatever that you could have picked up from like family or something like that, or just from when you were younger, to where you're like, oh, I can't have this, I can only do this, you know and it's like, I'm getting that regardless of some sort of like strict behavior that you had, it wasn't helping you progress towards your goals anyway. And so there's this sense of like, you know what, it wasn't really like helping me in any way being so strict about X, Y, or Z. So let me just like break those rules. You know what I mean? So it's something, and I'm not, it's nothing that's like harmful to you, right? Like obviously, if you struggle with like addiction, it's not like you're saying, "Oh, I can just have some." No, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like, you know, you no longer feeling like you need to restrict yourself or restrict your behavior or like censor yourself in some way, because you're noticing it that it wasn't like helping you. It definitely wasn't making you happier, and it also was not like, so it could be something to where like you know, and I don't want to like hurt, I'm not even trying to hurt anyone's feelings. It's just an example, right? But like say you never eat breakfast and like you're like, yes, well, I can't eat breakfast. If I eat breakfast and I would be eating too much, blah blah blah. But then maybe later in the day you end up like overeating anyway. So like you're like, you know what? Maybe just like let me just like eat breakfast, and then you start eating breakfast, and it's like you're less concerned with like, oh, I'm so coquette and I skip breakfast every day, you know what I mean? And so you start to just do that, and then you notice like, oh, I feel less compelled to eat so much later in the day, and then you actually reach your whatever your goals that you have in that regard. Okay, it's sort of like giving yourself the chance to do something in like a healthier way. It doesn't just have to be in regards to like eating or something like that. um but it's just also the sense of like you not being so hard on yourself, right? Because I'm getting to that, like, you could be very, very talented in some talent, like creative ability, and that could be anything. I'm picking up like theater or in some way, like or like acting or singing, dancing, writing, whatever, painting. But you could have become your own worst critic, you know? Like you could have even distanced yourself from people who are always criticizing you or like being overly, overly judgmental in regards to your performance in those areas, okay? And then you almost like took on the role of like, well, nobody can insult me when it comes to X, Y, and Z if I'm the like harshest on myself about that, right? And there's something about you no longer policing your own performance in some way to where you can actually start to, I don't know, enjoy your life again. Maybe not in such broad terms, even though it is kind of giving that, but like, you're actually able to enjoy certain like hobbies without sort of, you know, it almost like goes beyond perfectionism, because I'm getting that you could honestly create work that is genuinely perfect in the eyes of others, because it's so like subjective of a term that I think that you were such a harsh critic of yourself that you could have created an objective masterpiece and you would still all be like, "Oh, this is horrible," just because you were the one that made it. But if somebody else made it, the exact same thing, you'd be like, "Oh my God, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen," you know? So there's a sense of like allowing yourself to get like messy or sloppy in some sense, and not in like a not in like a careless way, but just allowing yourself to play and make mistakes in pursuit of your own like creative expression, or just like it doesn't just have to be creatively. I don't know, I guess, hold on. It's almost giving the energy too of like somebody afraid to start up something new, like learning to code or something like that, because you're like, oh, well, it's not going to look as good as I don't know if you went to like, I don't know, like program a website or something from scratch and you're like, "Oh, well, there's no way it's gonna look as good as I want it to look," or like, "Ew, this is giving like early 2000s or whatever." But you're just like learning, you know what I mean? It's like you're allowing it to not, it's you're allowing yourself to evolve. It's like you're giving yourself the space and grace for your like craft in some way to evolve without being so overly like harsh with yourself, because and also what could help with this is that you are feeling less compelled to overshare with everybody and their mom about like what you're in pursuit of doing. So like if you are starting on a journey of like, so it's giving like, oh, if you're trying to get into running, you don't feel like you need to post on Strava all the time, you know what I mean? It's because you're like, oh, people like, you know you know what I mean? So you could like do things more at your own pace instead of feeling like, oh, I'm so slow and everybody probably thinks I'm a joke, blah blah blah. It's like loosening that so that you can actually enjoy it. It could even have to do with practicing learning a new language, because it could, and you could be like, oh, my accent is terrible. I should, I just like I suck and I should give up. You know, like no, you're releasing that and you're just practicing anyway, and you understand that like, yes, I may have an accent, but you can still be fluent with an accent. There's plenty of people who are fluent in English who have a heavy accent, you know what I mean? um and that's something you can work on, right? So it's like you're not being so hard on yourself. You're not expecting yourself to be perfect at something the first time, the second time, even the third time you try it. You're just sort of learning how to have fun with certain things or with everything, and you're learning how to, again, this could apply to an instrument too. um like if you're learning to play guitar, right, you're allowing yourself to start with like beginner books, instead of trying to play like Dead Black Heart of Ice within the first month of learning how to play guitar. So like it, it can apply to anything, like video games and stuff too, right? Say, I don't know, it have to do with anything. You want to like start playing some like online game that has like ranked or whatever, but all of your friends have been playing for a long time, or you're like, oh, you know, everybody in this community has been playing for so long and they're all better than me. I just give up, right? But, maybe for some reason or another, it's important for you to get good at that, or like wanting to actually be able to like play with your friends or something like that. So instead of being so judgmental or like harsh on yourself about like your KD ratio or whatever, you just like keep playing it and like find it fun, okay? And like allow yourself to get better at it without, you know, projecting such harsh terminology on yourself as like, oh, this is ass, or like I suck at this, or like blah blah blah. Like you are less prone to giving up now on things that you aren't immediately good at, basically. And you're allowing yourself to explore more because of that. It's like by you doing that and you sort of it's giving that like your inner monologue in regards to like things that you aren't the best at immediately is a lot more polite. Like you're like I don't want to say that you're like treating yourself like a child or anything like that, but it's giving, with a little kid, like a 3-year-old, right, is learning how to like read, okay? Obviously the parent, if the kid like makes a mistake on some of the words, the parent's like, oh, you're so stupid, what's wrong with you, hopefully, right? But so they would be like, oh, it's okay, just like practice some more, and but you made such good progress. Like you're focusing more on the things that have been going right or improving, or like the entertainment aspect of the process, um instead of the mistakes that you, or like the trials or the whatever. you know you're allowing yourself more space for trial and error, and allowing your like inner child to feel safer to play instead of being feeling like everything needs to be so rigid and like perfect the first time. And you're not, it's like, yeah, 'cause, some people will do things, and then if they make a mistake when they do that thing, then they will like, some people even like, like stupid, stupid, and they like crash out or whatever. Like, especially if you used to be someone who did that, now you're actually able to just be calm and be like, and like say, I'm sure I'll just do a little better next time, right?